People, deluded. If you're not going to take anything away from my videos, people, make sure you download the One Football app. It's a terrific application developed by the guys over at the One Football Network. Make sure you visit my description for more of that. If you don't want to do that, go on the One Football Network website. It's a terrific application, people. I can't just say that enough, and I'm not just saying that for the sake of it. Why I like it? It allows me to stay on top of every bit of information there is in regards to football. It doesn't matter if it's transfer speculation, results, fixtures, manager talking points, player talking points. They have everything covered, and the sheer velocity and in-depth of some of the content, you can't put a price on it, people. The one big feature I like out of everything, when it comes to transfers, they've got it on top. They tell you exactly where the rumour or the information was first brought out, more or less. And it tells you how the strength of the rumour. And it also tells you what that could mean for the team moving forward with fellow supporting articles. It is the #1 application for the general football fan. And in fact, not even the general football fan, the honest football fan. The fan that really loves football. If you really love football, you'll download the One Football app, people. Because for me, it is the best on the market. Like I said, link is in the description. Visit their website. Link is in the description. Link is in the description. Link is in the description. People, I don't want you lot to do yourself a disservice, and you lot are the real followers because you follow me. Make sure you download the One Football app. People, deluded, I'm out. People, deluded, I'm back again. I'm just here really to offer some general points in regards to Arsenal. First and foremost, let's talk in regards to the tour. We'll get onto Koscielny, ironically. If you've been paying attention to the media, we'll get onto that in a bit. But the first one is Amaechi. Now, Amaechi is a top young player, rated by a lot of big clubs, more so our club, but he's here. Personally, if he leaves, I'm at the point now where if he leaves, I've been here before, I expect young players to leave. I've seen under 16s leave. It is what it is, man. There'll be players, there's been players before Amaechi, there'll be players after Amaechi. The club will still go. Of course, it's bitterly disappointing because you're seeing a lot of young players be promoted to our team. Not everybody's going to make it, but I feel some people should be given a chance. Amaechi, I don't think he's ready for Premier League football as such, but I think he's ready to be in the mix, training with the first team on a regular basis, which he was doing last season. He hasn't done so far in pre-season. Training with them on a regular basis, getting a cup start here, getting minutes here and there. And if he takes his chances, he takes his chances. He's not going to America. What I can say, without talking too tough, I do know with several young players at this club, there has been, I'm talking broadly, but loggerheads. I would actually go as far to say the club potentially playing hardball and saying you're not allowed to, you're not doing this and that unless you do this. So we'll see how his future is developed. I know Amaechi's got a year left with a year extension or an option of a year, so we'll see how it goes. If you're him and you consider the fact that, in fact, first and foremost, people need to remember he had some injuries last season and he technically is recovering from his injury. That could be a reason as to why he was, I don't believe it and I think I'm reaching, but that could be a reason as to why he's gone on tour with the 23s and not joined the senior lads and stuff. And some other young players that it was a bit bewildering seeing them selected, but it is what it is. If he was to leave or go anywhere, Amaechi would probably have to be in the under-23s of any team for a second, or if he's in a first-team environment, you'd have to play under 23s or reserves just to work his way back to fitness and get back to playing. That could be a reason. Personally, I think it's probably to do with certain other things that I won't get into details on, but we'll see how it develops. All I know is Amaechi's a wonderful footballer, and I look at him, I look at Saka, I look at Martinelli, Emil Smith-Rowe, Nelson, Joe Willock, Eddie, and I'm sure we can list others. I mean, you look at Malcolm Ebowe, I keep calling him Eloabi for some reason. He's gone with the 18s. Monluis, a defender, has gone with the 18s. I think Charlie Pantino and Amari Hutchinson are there as well. A couple other young players. So the future is bright at this club. But you want to see a couple of these players given chances. I believe Amaechi, Nelson, Saka, Emil, them four especially, if 2 out of the 4 aren't first team regulars or first team footballers of some capacity, then we're doing something wrong as a club. If I'm Amaechi, of course you're considering everything. We've seen the whole Instagram stuff. He's removed his Instagram story. Of course you'll be distraught. No disrespect to, I think I saw Dominic Thompson. Again, if Emre deems him good enough to go on tour and whatnot, then he's good enough to go on tour. But I don't think he has a long-term future here. He's got a good chance at 23s level, obviously, with Cohen Bramall being released, and he's played at left back. He's primarily left back, but you've actually seen him play 10 and other roles at 23s. If Lomberg said, yo, this is one that should get chances, then cool, because Lomberg probably had a lot to do with the likes of him or Liinka. I believe I saw Burton. I like Burton. I think he's a very technical base midfielder. I don't think he's going to make it here, but there's him. Obviously, couple young keepers are there, and there's a couple other young players, but it is a bit bewildering. Without talking too tough, I do know Lomberg is someone. The difference between Bold and Lomberg is that Lomberg likes nice personalities. Like, you can get away with probably kiss arsing around Lomberg. Bold's old school, who'll sniff that out. Not to talk too tough, but I do know for a fact there are certain. I'm not saying any young players currently on tour, but I do know there's a lot of kiss arsing to a degree. You have to do that to get somewhere in life, but there's a lot of politics. So not to see Amaechi in the setup it's tough. And if I'm Amaechi, I'd probably leave, to be fair. I'd consider staying. I'd want to make it at Arsenal, but for me, minutes are currency. The end goal is being a professional footballer. Can I go somewhere where if I'm not going to play initially, there's a sort of pathway? Because you look at Jadon Sancho with Dortmund. He didn't start playing week in, week out. He had to adjust, but there was a clear pathway. When he adjusts, you're going to now look, you're going to go, and you're never going to look back and look at him now. So if he can find a team like that, I'd be all up for it, because he's got a year left. He's 19 in January. Yeah, he went to Dubai, but not trained with, not played in the first team in an official game. Contracts up. You've seen Martinelli come into the club. You obviously seen Saka get called up, so they're ahead of you on that basis, or in the manager's thoughts a bit more. Obviously, you add in, okay, Emil's going to be a central midfielder, but Emil, Nelson, all of these players can play in his sort of roles. Do you get it? And on top of that, Emre's got his own things to deal with, getting Arsenal back on track and things like that. So there's a lot for him to consider. It is gutting to see, for me anyways, to see Amaechi not called up. It is what it is. It's not the be all and end all. Just use this fuel to better you, but it must be a kick in the teeth, because if I'm him, without being cynical, there are some players that don't have a future here that are in that USA tour, and obviously you're told this and that by the club. If you're not involved, it is heartbreaking. You want to make progress, but use it to fuel you, whether you're here or not. Such is the way Arsenal is. I'm not saying he's going to leave. I'm not saying I know he's going to leave people. I'm simply saying such is the pathway, not the pathway, but the recent trend. I can see him leaving, to be fair, and it is what it is. It will be gutting if Amaechi leaves, but it is what it is. The club still has to keep going on. I really like him as a professional footballer, but I'm not going to sit here and cry. He needs to do what he needs to do to give himself the best chance of reaching the end goal, and that's being, I assume, a Premier League footballer, professional footballer. You've seen him linked with Leyton Orient. Personally, I think he would relish a chance to play against grown men and things. He's got a lot of developing. I'd say for him, decision making, lovely fleet of foot, lovely skills, can take a man down the wing, can come inside. Personally, I think decision making, the hardest thing in them sort of positions is to play the right pass at the right time, and at times his decision making is a bit off, but he's a lovely player. Crucially, him and Saka are left footed. When last did we have a real demon on the left hand flank or the right hand flank, let alone two? We should be doing all we can to give them both chances. And things like that. I won't lie, Amaechi did look like a bit of a dejected figure towards the end of last season. I know he had some injuries and whatnot. First and foremost, I just hope he has a clear head, because he's a young man. He will be distraught. Sorry, that's not even a word. Like, I think he would have been knowing he's not going on tour, but I thought he would. So he must have thought, I'm going somewhere. He went to Dubai. He's one of the best young players and whatnot. You would have thought you're going. So when you didn't hear your name, and you're going to Slovakia, or is it Croatia or Slovakia? The under-23s are going. I think it's Slovakia with the 18s. He has to go in it. It's a professional footballer. The life of a professional footballer is dealing with disappointment. I'm looking a bit much into it, but there could be European competitions or cup competitions for his country, whether he plays for Nigeria or England in the future, that he misses out on. So he's got to react to that disappointment. For me, whether he leaves or stays, if I'm him, I'm using this to prove Arsenal wrong. Yeah, to Emre, when he comes back, yo, you should have included me in that team. If I'm him, I believe Amaechi wants to stay. I believe his first priority is to make it at Arsenal. But at the end of the day, if I'm him, the end goal is being a professional footballer. So if you and your agent sit down and you get proposals from other clubs and whatnot, then cool. I think he's got a year left with an option of a year, if I remember correctly. I heard that from a decent source. So Arsenal have a strong leg to stand on, But it's apologies for that, people. Yeah, it's a question only Amici can answer. Does he want to stay here? Him and his agent can sit down. Does he want to stay at Arsenal? Does he believe he can get chances? Because what's the most that could happen this season? You get, obviously, in an ideal world, you become an established Premier League footballer, but the most he could hope for is a cup start, whether that's in the FA Cup or initially in the Carling Cup, to which he's competing with some players that have been promoted and whatnot into the first team, and whatnot. That's the most that could happen. Official promotion and cup competitions, making your Premier League debut and things, and these are not bad things. So if he really thinks he can do that this season, then cool, do that. But could you potentially go out on loan and play elsewhere? You'd probably have to sign a new deal for Arsenal to sanction that, or force his way out and go somewhere where you might not play initially, but there's a pathway. They've got less resources. It's less, so they're bringing in less players, so they have to kind of work with what they have, sort of thing. Either way, I wish him the best, man. It is gutting, but I would just use this to fuel you, because if I'm looking at it, I want Amaechi and Saka to be getting first team minutes this season, but also immediately at 23's level, I want to win that league title. We finished second and first in the last 2 seasons. I want to win that. Amaechi's going to be central to that. I want to win the Treacle Trade Trophy, which is against senior individuals, because I believe that's the one thing I'm looking at this season, is the only real competition for these young players. Yeah, we might play in the International Under-23s Cup again, where you play against Porto and some good European sides, different styles and all of that. You might play the occasional game against another 23 side made up of first teamers who are not playing at their current club. But 9 times out of 10, these 23s are going through the motions. Some are not being able to play for first team, so they're doing this. Some players are not wanted, so they're in the 23s. Some players are that didn't get loan spells are just there. It's not the best of environments for me. I don't really like it, but I wish Amaechi the best, to be fair, like I've said, man. Whether he stays or goes, man, I think he's a player with a lot of potential, and I hope he realises it. But on that note, I'm going to keep it moving. People, DG.